It's the Score North Twin Show.
Kind of felt like one of the quieter deadlines. We had some clear our buy side conversations with teams that said we might be interested in doing a deal like that. We just need to see what happens over the course of the next 4 to 5 days. And then what ultimately happened over those 4 to 5 days was things changed. The dynamics changed in their situation. And then ultimately that led to, hey, we're not going to ultimately move that player. So there were a lot of players we talked about that were not moved during this deadline that were part of the conversation that we thought might be fits for us. But ultimately we landed where we did because there wasn't something that crossed the bar in terms of what we were looking for.
Welcome into the Score North Twin Show here. This is our trade deadline recap episode of the Score North Twin Show, where we recap what the Twins did at the trade deadline. Who wants to go first?
This is like when the St. Paul Saints would do the, hey, come meet today's, MLB Hall of Fame inductions members, and there's no one that got inducted that year into the Hall of Fame. It's just an empty table that just has a piece of paper on it.
I'm just going to take a nap until we actually get to our next show because, with the Twins activity, it was just incredible.
Yeah, you should rest up for Judd's camp notes on Purple Daily here.
Thank you very much, yes.
Save your energy. Save your energy just like, the Twins front office did. And I know that there's a lot of different schools of thought, and we'll go through some of this. We'll do an Immaculate Grid here, but this is the Score North Twin Show, where we just want the Twins to win a playoff game for the first time in almost 20 years. And they now have a 2-game lead and a 53 magic number. So we're making progress here. I know that it's not been the ideal season so far, but it's all in front of them, Judd. It's all in front of them. The 26 guys in that clubhouse, they can be the first clubhouse to win a playoff game since 2004. All right, let's focus. Eyes on the prize here. What needs to happen?
Well, first of all, I think it happened. The trade deadline was great if you're a Twins fan.
So disgusted by any conversation about the playoffs. I love it.
The trade deadline was fantastic if you're a Twins fan, or heck, if you're the Twins, because you actually were gifted this. Cleveland traded their ace, Aaron Savali. Cleveland traded Josh Bell yesterday. So Cleveland is clearly saying, we want no part. Like you are literally being gifted the division.
Yeah, it's like a race or like an indie race, and the other cars have said, you know what, we're just going to hang out in the pit area here. Why don't you just run around the track?
So here's what I've been giving thought to since the Twins did nothing, which, by the way, I'm fine with. I would have probably traded Gray, Sonny Gray myself, or Kepler, but they didn't. But they also didn't trade prospects at all. So they did nothing to improve themselves. And here's what I'm trying to figure, because I think it's where the conversation goes, but we obviously can't get inside the head of Derek Falvey or the Twins brass. But their contention, and they sort of made this clear right or wrong about 3 weeks ago or so, was that we have what we need in this clubhouse to win the division, which probably isn't wrong to win the division because the division's so bad. But is this a sign, is this a show of confidence that what Falvey's been saying for 3 weeks now, which is you have to get this turned around yourselves? Or is this just a sign of disgust of, well, you got swept by the Royals. You don't deserve help. If you can win it, that's fine. But I'm not going to actually go into our cupboard of prospects to help you guys out when you have, peed down your pant leg so badly. Yeah. Either way, though, I do like the fact that they didn't make any moves to short-term try to supplement things, because I don't think this team is worth that.
Okay. All right, Dex.
I think you made a mistake not getting some type of help in the bullpen. You can find these guys all over the place, and I thought that they kind of dropped the ball on not getting someone. Now, if we're taking Falvey's words at face value, maybe the prices for these guys became ridiculous at the deadline. Maybe it was they were asking for top 10 prospects. I don't believe that was the case. But if you could have found a solid middle inning reliever, a solid high leverage guy for your, 12th to 15th best prospect, you could have signed me up for that. I would have taken that chance. Outside of that, if the bats were too expensive, And if Royce Lewis is going to be coming back from injury and Alex Kirilloff's injury isn't too serious, okay, this is the squad they're going to roll with. I mean, everyone, even from Vegas' side, is basically saying the Twins are going to run away with this division. Even the money line on their divisional odds in the last 24 hours has gone from minus 300 to minus 370. And Cleveland's improbability has gone from plus 200 to plus 270. So basically, in percentage terms, the Twins have about an 80% chance to win this division. Cleveland's under 30%. It's being gifted to the Twins. So yes, I would have liked to seeing a reliever go after and get at the trade deadline, but I'm also not completely fuming out of my head that they did not make a single move either.
Yeah, I think the heart. Now you make a case for, even though your cupboards are sort of bare from a prospect perspective, was there somebody between 10 and 15 that you could have traded for a rental, and we could debate whether that even moves the needle or not for your playoff chances. But if we're talking about a big right-handed bat, or we're talking about a more impactful reliever that's second in line to Duran, the problem with trading from your current prospect pool is you've already done so much of that the last 2 or 3 years. You look at, okay, what do we have here? We got 5 hours left until the trade deadline. What assets do we have in our top 10 prospect pool that other teams would want for Paul Goldschmidt, or that other teams would want for, whatever, name your impact bat, right? Like Cody Bellinger or something, although the Cubs didn't trade him, right? And they kind of said a couple days beforehand they weren't going to. But, okay, Brooks Lee. Let's start with Brooks Lee. Well, Brooks Lee is he's kind of all that's left in terms of cornerstone caliber players, so you better be damn sure what you're getting back if you're going to trade. Now, if you had 3 or 4 other guys that were studs, like the Orioles organization or somebody else, okay, maybe you go for it. Matt Wallner has emerged into one of your top 5 prospect slots. Well, he's one of your 3 best hitters right now. You need Matt Wallner and you need Royce Lewis to come back to go do damage in 2 months from now. And everyone else on that top 10 list is either underachieving greatly or injured or some combination of the two. And so, okay, what about the flip side? What about sort of what Judd was saying, which is, you know what, screw this. If you're going to make any moves, trade Sonny Gray, trade Kenta Maeda, and get some future pieces back in return. And, maybe teams are looking at Sonny Gray's last 5 or 6 starts and the numbers are going sideways. Kenta Maeda's 35 years old. No one's going to give up anything of significant value. But then the question comes into play, could you have gotten anything for one of those 2 guys and then just elevated Dallas Keuchel, whose metrics are up? He dominated AAA. What was the point of that experiment if you weren't going to bring him onto your major league roster at some point? So I understand why they were quiet, but I also have some nits to pick with their process. And I'm wondering, what was the point of the Dallas Keuchel thing? Why bring him in, watch him dominate, watch his metrics and velocity be up a tick, and then not use him in some way to fill a spot by trading someone, right? So I don't know. It just screams of what are you guys doing once again for the 3rd straight season?
So Keuchel must have been brought in because there was at least an outside chance, because he could have opted out a week and a half ago and then obviously August 1st, which he did. Keuchel must have been brought in with the view of we might trade Sonny Gray, is my guess. And that's why he didn't opt out the first time, because he was dominating pretty much right off the bat. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I really would have liked to seen them move some current guys off their roster. But I think more importantly, they didn't fall into the trap of a short-term fix. And did you guys hear? I don't know if this came from inside information, but he said it with confidence. Did you guys hear the conversation between Bramer and Smalley on the Cardinals-Twins game last night about Teoscar Hernandez? And
I did not hear that one, no.
Okay, they basically said, and the way that they said it, it's like that they were told this, I would guess, by Falvey. But the way that they said it, they said, you could have gotten him, but if you wanted him, it would have cost you Royce Lewis. So, if that's the price tag, I'm not doing that.
No.
So, no. I would rather, my biggest thing was just stand pat.
Yeah.
My second thing was, it would be nice to start replenishing your system if you do trade a guy like Gray. But you know what this comes back to, too, is this. That trade deadline a year ago was a disaster in every way, shape, and form. It didn't work. You missed the playoffs completely. And what did you get? And then, more importantly, what did you give up? So forget the Rodgers trade to the Padres at the start of the season. I'm just talking about that deadline. Yeah. That deadline is an unmitigated disaster that makes it very difficult then, I think, to turn around at the next deadline when you really have sort of a similar situation developing. I mean, are you going to take away from the system again? And at that point too, and it's the Twins, they're pretty arrogant, so I might be wrong here, but I would also think that if you're Falvey, just privately at least, you got to question yourself a little bit.
You think he's a little gun shy?
Well, you've been trading for guys who are hurt. Like the Malley trade, I can't tell you how bad, that Reds trade is just awful. Like
you guys liked it at the time. Well, we didn't unfortunately have the medical PDFs scanned and emailed to us. But
exactly. But and you know what? If that had been the only time he traded for an injured arm, I'd be like, okay, too bad, really bad trade, but it's going to happen. But I mean, that just, Phil and Dex, that just went down the path of sort of reaffirming that he's done that, I think, 3 times.
Well, I actually have a list so by my calculation here, this is the 7th trade deadline that Derek Falvey and this iteration of the front office has overseen. So 2017 was the first year. So 17, 18, 19, 20, it's 4, 21. Yeah, so this is the 7th year. And I believe they've been in position to win the division 5 times in 7 seasons. So I'm not counting 2018. 2018 was kind of a disaster, right? What was 2018?
Yeah, it was.
That was
the
year
Lomo.
They fired Molitor, right?
Yes, Molitor came back. They had Lomo. They traded Lance Lynn at the deadline. They traded Escobar and got Duran, which actually was a pretty good trade for them.
In Boston.
Yeah, they were sold. They sold.
Yeah, they were sold. They were not good in 2018. They weren't contending by the deadline.
I'm counting these 5 seasons as in position to win the division. I am counting 2017 because a week before the deadline they were a half game back, and that's when they acquired Jaime Garcia, and then they lost a bunch of games. And by the time the deadline rolled around, they were like 6 or 7 games back. But they were like that week they were within striking distance. They did decide to sell off, which we all agree. You know what? That's probably understandable in that situation. And then of course the clubhouse got pissed and then won a bunch of games. They went like 20-9 in August, and they went to the wild card game. So 2017, they sold off. 2019, they were in position to win the division by a lot because it was the Bomba squad. They were a 100-win team. Just need some pitching, right? Greatest power hitting team in Major League history. And they traded for injured Sam Dyson and I would say effective, but not like, not outcome altering Sergio Romo, right? Yeah, he wasn't going to like take you to the World Series. 2020, it was a weird pandemic year, but teams were still making some trades. So they moved the trade deadline to like a month later. And the Twins made no moves in 2020. They were just like, it's a pandemic year. It's kind of weird. Let's just not make a move, right? 2021, they were 20 games back at the deadline, so they didn't make a move to add. 2022, you already talked about it. They tried really hard, but it wound up being one of the worst trades in franchise history, like the worst 3 trades. And then this year, they make no moves. So the 5 times they've been in position to win the division in 7 years, they haven't added any actual value outside of maybe Sergio Romo.
Sorry.
Right? Like, am I missing something?
No, I agree, but it's just like when you have to reach for Sergio, and you're not wrong. It's
he was pretty good.
It's sadly fun. Yeah, but it's sadly funny. Like that's the acquisition that we look back on and say, and you're literally saying, at least he wasn't hurt. Yeah. Like that's what we're saying.
So 3 times they decided to either not make moves or sell off. And we all agree on the sell-off thing, so I'm not hammering them for that.
Right.
And 2 times when they did decide to make moves, of the 5 players that they landed, 2 of the pitchers were actually injured. And then the other 3 were just sort of like, 7th inning reliever guys, Jorge Lopez, Michael Fulmer, and Sergio Romo. So that's pretty incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. Well, it's sad. Like, it's sad that you have made that. It's really, really pathetic that your tenure right now, when you have been in contention for the division, which, by the way, you have been. It's not like you aren't. It comes back to the Sergio Romo trade pretty much worked out. That's a really, really sad indictment. But again, this division right now is so bad, and Cleveland bailing. There's just, I will say this: if the choices were trade a few prospects for the equivalent in 2023 of Sergio Romo, or just sit this thing out and allow nature to take its course, which, by the way, again, could lead you to the playoffs, I'll take door 2 right now.
Yeah. So what do you think now? We'll do an immaculate grid here to, end this thing hopefully on a high note. But what do you think their fate is in 2 months? October. What do you think? Do they win the division? Do they finally win a playoff game? Declan, what do you think their fate is now that they've decided, all right, it's you guys in that clubhouse, go figure it out?
I mean, they're in position to be in the playoffs. They're in position to host a playoff game, which is great. They have as good of a chance to end their playoff streak for like the first time since 2020. And I think they can do it. I think they can win a playoff game. And that is my bar. I understand that I will probably come on the show after they win the playoff game and expect them to have higher expectations. But you know what? I'm please track mark this and bookmark it, because that is my goal. Win a playoff game. After everything else, I am okay. You could lose the next 3 and the season's over and you're back on the golf course and you're in off-season mode. That's fine to me. Just win a playoff game and everything else will take care of itself. I think they are in position to do that for the first time in 20 years.
All right. They should win the division, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't trust them. Duran has started to struggle, gave up a home run up 3-1, and it was a solo shot, which is good. Made it 3-2 last night. This team loves to shoot itself in the foot. This team was given a gift last night, and I 1,000% tell you they're going to ignore it completely, and I hope it bites them in the ass. Jorge Polanco put on a clinic at third base last night of why you can't just move a guy, probably especially in the big leagues, to a different position and expect it to work. Julian, who I love his bat, especially against right-handed pitching, is a liability at second. But if you watched the game last night, let's go through Jorge Polanco's night at third base. A shot to third, it's called the hot corner, kicked off his glove, okay? That's problematic. He made a throw to first base that was so bad, it went down the right field line, and Walker ended up on third base with the score 1, I think it was 1-0 at the time, and was only out because he missed first base and was called out, which is the Cardinals' season in a nutshell. And then let's talk about the last one, and this is the one that's going to cost you your playoff game, okay? Jorge Polanco at third base. 2 outs, single to left. Matt Waldner, who, by the way, has a cannon, comes up throwing. And he has a very good chance to get the guy at the plate. And Polanco cuts the throw because he doesn't know better. Because that's really his job. Like, he's not ignoring his job, but he had no feel because he doesn't play third base. So he cuts the throw and he gets the out at third. Well, that's great because a guy was trying to go second, third. That's fantastic, except the run scored. And if I went back and watched it, and I don't blame him, Ryan Jeffers spiked his helmet. Ryan Jeffers was so pissed off because the throw was coming through and it was a great throw. And this is the type of small play that costs you a playoff game.
But this is why it's if you give him the whole off season, Polanco would be a good third baseman. If you gave him all of spring training and stuff, but you're literally asking him to do it
absolutely
1 week notice.
I'm not faulting him, first of all, okay? Yeah. I'm not saying he sucks. I agree with everything that you just said. But my point is the arrogance of this team and the fact that they don't pay attention to things like this. Like, that was reason to say we have to rethink this. I hate this whole thing, and it goes back to Mauer playing first, and eventually he did become a productive, good first baseman. But Joe Mauer, who's probably as gifted of athlete as we have seen, like just as far as the God gifted, struggled there because you know what? You can't just put a guy there. He needs work, to Phil's point. He needs spring training. He needs a fair shake. But, so now you've got Julian at second and Polanco at third. 2/4 of your infield is a potential gong show. And this is the type of thing I want the Twins to pay attention to and say, oh, I'm glad we learned that. But they won't. So I have no faith. I think that they have a decent chance to actually screw themselves out of the division. I don't know how. It should be an impossibility, but I have no faith in this team.
They're going to win the division with about 85 wins, and they will win a playoff game for the first time in 18,
you know what's going to
19
happen? They're going to be on track. It's going to be a tight game because starting pitching's good. It's going to be a tight game.
Why?
And there's going to be a bullet to left field. And for the second time in about the last 3 playoff games, Jorge Polanco is going to crap down their chances. Do you remember the throw against Houston?
God, in a perfect world, Polanco's not going to be at third base in Game 1 in a playoff game. Royce Lewis is going to be at third base. That's the ideal
I hope you're
situation.
right.
You have Polanco at second and Julian at DH.
There you go. Julian should be DHing. Polanco should be back at second base.
Here it is. Royce Lewis in the outfield, Polanco at third, Julian at second. So Buxton can DH. Declan, you're right. Phil, you're right. That's my point. They don't think any of this through. If you put the three, if the 3 jokers on this show took over tomorrow, we would position themselves better to win a playoff game than they will. Oh, yeah, we would. Yeah, we would, because we wouldn't do stupid things. 100%.
Well, we'll see. I'm really looking forward to the next 2 months of the Score on Twin show where Judd just absolutely takes a dump on Jorge Polanco at third base.
It's not his fault. But please hear me.
You asked if they could win a playoff game. You spent 6 minutes on Polanco's defense at third base.
Did you see last night? Did you? He threw the ball down.
And it was a bad game. It was a bad game at third. It was just hilarious.
It's not a bad game. It's a precursor.
Phil asked a pretty black and white question, and you go all the way to the left.
This is the Score North Twin Show. People come here for the truth, not Pollyanna. They come here for a breakdown. God. Do you get this on BSN? No.
We need Judd to hijack Bally Sports North.
God, I'd love to be on there just once. Me and
by the way, gentlemen. People don't just come here for the baseball banter. They come here, hopefully, for the burger recommendations. We have a brand new partner here on Score North. Welcome, Burger Press in Edina, just off 494 in France. Dude, those are Nathan's hot dogs. We had a glorious lunch experience there a few weeks back. Some of the best burgers you're going to find. Look at the cheese melting off that. There's the Score North crew with the crinkle cut fries, too. Don't sleep on the crinkle cut fries, all right?
So true.
It's always an underrated option. So you're going to find some of the most incredibly unique and great burgers in the Twin Cities. And by the way, this is an owned and operated Minnesota company here, too. This is an independent burger shop. They've got all kinds of great food. They are huge Minnesota sports fans and supporters of Score North. So check them out. Burger Press, just off 494 and France Avenue in Edina. Gentlemen, 5 minutes on the clock. It's time for the Immaculate Grid challenge here on the Score North Twin Show. And just to over-explain it, you're going to see sort of a baseball tic-tac-toe grid. You're going to see 9 squares. We need to go 9 for 9. Any incorrect guess means we cannot achieve the Immaculate Grid. So we're looking to match in the top left square here for the YouTube audience, a Royal who was a Pirate at some point, a Pirate who was a Marlin, and then a Pirate who drove in 100 runs at some point in a season. We're looking for a Ranger who was a Royal, a Ranger who was a Marlin, and then a Ranger who drove in 100 runs in a season at one point, and an Oriole who was a Royal, an Oriole who was a Marlin, and an Oriole who drove in 100 runs in a season. 5 minutes on the clock. We're all collaborating as a team. Here we go. You want to do the RBIs first, just to knock it out? Or?
Sure.
And we can go as rare as you guys want to, but for a Ranger, how about Juan Gonzalez?
Ooh,
that's a good one.
Juan Gon?
Is that obscure enough? Juan Gonzalez?
16%.
For a Pirate, we could go Bonds, which is not obscure. We could go Willie Stargell, who's old school.
There you go. Andy Van Slyke ever driving 100?
That I don't know. He was a good player, though. I did like Andy Van Slyke.
Stargell? Good as Stargell.
Yep. You got it right.
Judd seems pretty confident. Okay.
17%.
Crush Davis.
Happy. Anything under 100 rarity score is good.
Chris Davis from recency.
Old school.
I don't know if Machado did it.
Albert Bell?
Ooh.
He must have driven.
Did he do it there?
I think he did. I think he won an MVP, didn't he, with the Orioles?
Oh, I don't remember that.
I'm not super confident, but I'm pretty sure Albert Bell did it. Brady Anderson, when he hit 51 dingers, did he drive in 100 that year?
Just miraculous.
Should we do Brady Anderson?
Had to have. He had to have.
How do you hit
Radiant.
51 dingers and not drive in 100?
It has to be, yes.
All right, good with it?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, 7%.
Nice.
let's
Yeah,
go.
you cannot hit 50 dingers.
He was a leadoff hitter, though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
It's just amazing how strong he got. I mean,
right.
just miraculously got
a
strong. Let's keep
Pirate
going.
Royal. Yeah. How about
Liriano?
No.
No,
How about Carlos Santana?
Sure.
He played for both, right? Pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, he just played for the Pirates. He just got traded to the Brewers.
Okay.
38%. It's a little high, but he's current. That's why.
I hate when they do the Marlins. I hate new teams.
Dude, the
Or
Marlins.
newer teams.
Marte? Starling
Marte? Yeah. That's going to be a high one, too, isn't it?
It's okay.
26.
That's
okay.
not bad. Okay. That's not
Texas, Kansas City. Did Chris Young play for both teams? The current GM of
Oh, the tall
the
pitcher.
Rangers.
That
Yeah, he definitely
sounds
played for.
right.
He definitely played for Kansas City.
So
I
you're going to
remember.
see two Chris Youngs on here. We want the...
Yep. Shoot, which one? There's a 06 to 18 and a 04 to 17. That is not
Can
helpful
I real
at
quick?
all.
I'm just gonna I'm not cheating. I'm literally gonna look up Chris Young to see. All right, because we don't want to get screwed on. They need more details. One of them
I
is
think it
Chris
was-
B. Young.
I think it was 06 to. I'm not saying to pull the trigger here. I think it's the 06 to 18. I think Chris Young, the pitcher, had a long.
The outfielder started in 06.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
so we want
it's
the-
4. I'm sorry.
we
it's
want
not
the
14.
pitcher. That's 04.
Yep.
Yep.
My bad. I saw 14.
Okay, 3%. Good stuff.
There we go.
Good stuff.
Okay.
All right, we
All
have
right.
two
all right.
minutes and 20 seconds left. We're doing pretty well here. We need 3 squares left. An Oriole who was a Royal,
Royal.
a Marlin who was a Ranger, or a Marlin who
Okay.
was an Oriole. Boy, now we're getting kind of...
Yeah. So let's go after the Royal. And
Jeff Conine for Marlin who was an Oriole, right?
You're
Jeff
right.
Conine, didn't he play for both? of them?
I think Mr.
Let's hold
Marlin.
on.
Conine. How do you spell Conine?
C-O-N.
I-N-E.
I see Jeff Connie. Jeff with a J.
Yeah, that's Jeff Conine, right?
Oh, is that
Doesn't that say
Conine? It
Jeff
says
Conine?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm getting my
yeah.
ears checked and probably my eyes checked next too. All right, Jeff
Okay.
Conine. Yeah.
Yeah.
22%.
That's fine.
22%,
That's fine.
22% on Jeff Conine?
You know,
What?
don't. You know
Who are
what?
these
It's right.
people?
Let's not be upset about. Okay, Royal, who was
Was
an
a bird.
Oriole, Baltimore Orioles. So pitcher? This has to be a pitcher.
So many, I'm sure.
God.
I'm trying to think of relievers like
Did Gil Mesh play for the Birds?
Gil Mesh.
I don't
man,
remember Gilmesh with the Birds. Gilmesh played for a lot of teams though.
Gil Mesh.
Oh, hold on.
Okay,
Is
we
there
got
a
a
former?
minute. Okay.
Is there a former twin who bounced around?
Yeah. Valencia? Did Valencia play for the Royals?
I think he did.
My God, did he?
I think he might have.
Swaggy V played for the Blue Jays. I think he did, dude. I think
All
he
right,
did.
screw it.
was. Yeah, he bounced
45
around.
seconds.
I know. I think
Let's
you got
do
it.
it.
I think
Screw
you're
it.
right.
Yes. Point eight.
Yes!
Oh yeah!
40 seconds left to get a Marlin who was a Ranger.
Oh God. Michael Young, Ian Kinsler,
Judd,
Josh
did
Hamilton.
Charlie Huff pitch for the Rangers?
Yes.
Charlie Huff.
Charlie Huff.
H-O-U-G-H.
Yes. Yes.
Come on,
yes.
be immaculate. Be
Yes,
immaculate.
Yes.
From
Yes.
70 to
Yes.
94.
One time.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yes. Knuckleballer.
135.
That's good. Great work.
Wow, dudes. Awesome. With 10 seconds to spare
Pudge.
here.
Pudge would have been the most obvious one, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
We got
I
a better
suppose.
revenue
Oh.
scare. But
There we go.
No, that's bad. No, Charlie Huff's
Jeff
way
Conine
better.
was the most
Conine?
common answer.
Wow.
No, that was
That's
better, dude.
Difficult then.
No, but Charlie Huff was a great pull. I love it.
Dude, nice job, guys. Nice job. The Immaculate Grid today presented by our friends over at EcoFun Motorsports. It is electric bike season up in here in the Twin Cities. And you can get into a Yamaha, a Bentelli, a Scootstar electric bike. They're all in stock and on sale. Take the evil hills out of biking this year with a new electric bike. You can also test ride one at either EcoFun store, either off 35 in Forest Lake or 35W in Burnsville off County Road 42. And if you go in there, tell them that the Score North Twin Show sent you in. EcoFunMotorsports.com if you want to snoop around. EcoFunMotorsports.com. All right, we ended on a high note here. Congratulations,
Nice work.
boys. We'll see you
Good
next time.
job.